Hey, I think we're there. Well, this is the BlackWatch. You guys know I don't give a real formal introduction because it's not about me. It's not about all the facade. I need the person that's sitting right here next to me today. I need to, I think I am echoing. Hold on one second. I think that's YouTube that I'm doing that on. There we go. That's better. I told you I'm old, Madam Chief.
You are fine.
All right, let's see here. All right, I think I got it. All right. And so I had to get my second voice out. Sometimes I can't hear it, and other people have to tell me, like in the chat, that I'm echoing. But, you know, now I know that I am not echoing. But I am here with Washtenaw County's newly appointed Chief Assistant Prosecutor, Victoria Burton Harris. And this is literally the first time that I met you. I didn't see you like on campaign trail when you were running for prosecutor in Wayne County, and I haven't met you yet. So it is a pleasure to meet you, Madam Chief Assistant Prosecutor. That's a lot. So can I just call you Madam Chief or Madam? What do I call you?
Victoria. How about that?
I call you Victoria. All right.
Yeah.
Now, if I get shackled in, can I call you Victoria? Like if I get shackled in?
You can call me Victoria anytime.
Okay. All right. And I'm hoping I never get shackled in. You have never
I hope so position. Too.
But I wanted to talk with you during this period. We're an odd year, so it's 28 days this year. I know every 4 years they give us an extra day during this Black History Month, because it's important to me to talk to people like yourself who are in places where you don't get talked about a lot. And I talked to newly elected 14B District Court Judge Rain Washington, and I called her Black Girl Magic as well. I will call you Black Girl Magic because of who you are and what you do. It's not the quintessential thing when you hear people say Black Girl Magic. So you are literally in the second seat. And when I heard Ellie say, you know, you were his partner, and you know, you are basically the strongest thing on his team, it meant a lot, because you know, you're just not in the seat. You've already brought some things to the table, you know, for Ellie and for the Washtenaw County Prosecutor's Office. So I want to officially welcome you to Washtenaw County. I'm sure people have said that already hundreds of times, but I want to officially welcome you to Washtenaw County from the Villager. I am a Villager here, born and raised in Ann Arbor, and I'm happy to have you here. So thank you for coming on, and we'll get through these questions because I know you got a busy day and you probably got like 3 or 4 more individuals who want to talk to you like me today. So I'm going to get out of your way real soon here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to not only be here with you, but I am honored to be a new resident of Washtenaw County. It is a privilege to serve this county in this capacity as the Chief Assistant Prosecutor. And I'm really looking forward to really making some major waves in this county.
Awesome. And it means a lot, because knowing the past regimes since I've been on this planet, my aunt worked over 40 years at 15th District Court. So I've been around and been in this city and been in this county for a long time. So to see this type of change and what you guys have done, I use the term guys, I'm sorry. So it's just one of those things. But what you've done in the first 52 days has been incredible. And I joked with Ellie about, you know, what was he going to do for a follow-up? Because I was like, dude, you can't do anything more than you did in January. And this month, you know, I wouldn't say that you guys put the brakes on, but is it time right now to where you've gotten past making everybody's head spin with some of the most groundbreaking things, not only in the county, but around the country, and just to settle in and get the prosecutor's office the way you need it to be? Or are you still in that laser beam focus for making change?
We will always be laser focused about making change, because I can tell you my background as a criminal defense attorney, I am unapologetic in my fight for Black liberation. And so that does not stop after you roll out 11 new policies. That continues. We have more policies that we are set to roll out. We have not rolled out anything regarding our restorative justice partnership that is budding with the DRC. We have not yet rolled out a policy in our position on immigration issues, and we have a few others. So, the work does not stop after January. We are not getting comfortable. We're just getting fired up, quite frankly.
Awesome. And it's great to hear somebody really with some fervor at this point, because I think after so many years of hearing the same thing and hearing the rhetoric as it became, Ellie's a fresh face, obviously born and raised in Ann Arbor, but we haven't had him home for a while. You're a fresh face, but you're not new to the game. I followed you as you were running against Kim Worthy, and I'm a Washtenaw County resident now. I could have voted for you a couple of years back, but I'm a Washtenaw County resident once again. I was a little upset that you couldn't unseat her, but as I told Ellie, Wayne County's, W or L was our W. So, we appreciated you losing, and that was big for us.
For a reason,
Yes. I mean, everything happens for a reason. They weren't ready for you. I know they weren't ready for you in Wayne County. One of the things that I kept hearing, which is strange to me, was that you would be able to deal with the people around Detroit and the immediate areas, but you wouldn't have the support of the outer county cities, which was crazy to me, because you wouldn't have gotten to that point if you weren't a culturally and multi-diverse individual. But they just kept saying that. Now you're in Washtenaw County, which is predominantly white, and your office is in Ann Arbor, which is predominantly white. How have you been received thus far, being that you're not white?
I have had the warmest welcome, the absolute warmest welcome from our county commissioners to our judges to our law enforcement officers, to the folks who work for us in this office. Folks in this office are, quite frankly, just gems. We've had folks come to Ellie and I and say, like, we didn't think you guys were real because you're just so nice, and you give us options and you encourage us to do the right and the just thing, even if it is, it goes against traditional prosecution models and values. And that's because we made it very clear what we do value. Ellie made it clear throughout his entire campaign. And anytime I'm given an opportunity to speak, I take it as an opportunity to be transparent and to be crystal clear. So you never have to question where Victoria stands. You know exactly what I care about. You know exactly what I'm fighting for, right? I'm fighting for equity. I am fighting for people to have an opportunity to thrive and not just struggle and survive. And if I am going to use my power to enable people to thrive, then that means I'm using my power to get to the root causes of crime. And I'm not using my power just because I can to prosecute people and hurt them. I'm using prosecutorial discretion, and I'm encouraging people in my office who work under me to do the exact same, because it's not about convictions. We are prosecutors, and we should be justice seekers, justice warriors, and not out for blood and to rack up the convictions, and at the end of the year, take a tally and say, oh, look, we won because we secured X amount of convictions. Right. Quite frankly, I want to be able to say we won because, look, we've decreased our convictions, because that means that we chose to take a more holistic approach and not quickly condemn people to the bottom of society, because that is essentially what you're doing when you give someone a conviction, right? If you choose to not see the good in them, if you choose to not ask what brought you to the criminal system to begin with, and then address that, they're going to continue to come back through and cycle through. And that's what I want to disrupt. I want to disrupt that cycle, and I want to invest and use my power to invest in those around me in this community, and work with community partners and agencies to really give people what they need.
Sure. And as we spoke briefly, there's some things that I'm going to send you this week. I just believe that we're in a way, and we're in a time where I am very much a do for selfer, but I also believe that there is a grand debt that is owed by the United States government for the biggest sin in history, which was chattel slavery. So I fight for reparations. I fight for restorative justice. But I also believe that along with fighting the government, we also have to fight for ourselves, and we have to fight for things that we have around here. And I am huge on kids. Personally, I have 2, but I blended, I have 6. So I have 2 grandchildren. My first job as a camp counselor was when I was 17 years old, and I've mentored and counseled and coached all my life. And I know that you are we're big, and I hope that continues with the Washtenaw County Juvenile Court. You were big with mandatory life sentences for juveniles. And I know that a lot of that has gone by the wayside, and people don't talk about it as much. But can you just really explain, because I know some people don't think that they have life sentences. Most people, their train of thought, I think, was a kid would get in trouble and then he'd be out of jail by the time he's 21. But things to be different. I know that if a child commits a crime, and even sometimes in the most heinous of crimes, there's a reason why. And we get back over into that mental health boat more so than just being an arch criminal at 11 or 12 or 13, because most kids aren't. There's some mental health issues. There's some things that happen at home that possibly cause those issues. Where do you stand with the juvenile court in Washtenaw County? Will you still push for those types of situations? I've seen so many kids overly sentenced, wrongfully sentenced, wrongfully convicted. Will you play a part in the juvenile court system as well as the
Absolutely.
state?
We're the county prosecutor, so we
Okay.
we have jurisdiction over the entire county, juveniles and adults.
Okay.
And I can tell you that we have a phenomenal assistant prosecutor that heads up our juvenile division. And I get reports from her, Ellie and I both, every week. And then Ellie and I both receive daily detention center reports so we know how many juveniles are in our detention center. We actually have 2 young people. One is from another county, because our juvenile detention center does house other young people from other counties from time to time. And so we have 1 young person in Washtenaw County who is currently housed in our juvenile detention facility. Okay. We are working on building out an assessment center for our juveniles, so that, before petitions are authorized, and maybe even sometimes after, we have a mechanism to assess our young people, find out what is going on, and then again, find placement for them in the hands of community partners who can give them the resources that they need. We fear that coming off the heels of the pandemic, that we are going to see a lot of young people, unfortunately, battling with mental health issues, not knowing how to interact with other people, and having societal issues, right? And so, those social issues, they're not going to just go away because the pandemic went away. Quite frankly, like I said, we think that it's going to exacerbate those social problems and behavioral problems and mental health problems. And we would like to have something in place so that we are ready to answer the call when we get to that.
Uh-oh, did I mute you? I think I muted you. Hold on 1 second. It says ask to unmute. Did you mute yourself?
There you go.
Okay. You still there?
Yes.
Okay. All right. For some reason, I thought I did that. I didn't know if I did that or not. I'm just sitting here trying to make sure that the screens are right. Well, that to me kind of just takes me to the next question. Mental health has been something that I try to cross with everyone that I speak with. And I'm seeing increased crimes now it may just be what I noticed because I have all girls and one blended son. So I've noticed things about girls more than anything. And I've noticed an increase in crimes with young ladies. And I don't know if you see that or if it's still the same way for you, but I noticed that. And I also have noticed, because the ladies that are committing these crimes or being accused of these crimes, however, some of them walk into court with a baby inside. I've always been against young ladies having children inside, when they're, I just don't think they get treated well. Now, I don't know personally, I don't know if there's an actual hospital inside or do they take them out to have delivery, but I know that they can't have the child in the facility. So somebody ends up taking the child, hopefully a family member, or the child doesn't go right to some type of foster care, the family has an opportunity to take that baby. Mm-hmm. But there is instantly an issue when a young lady goes through 9 months and she has a child and she is separated only to be put back in jail, and that baby who needs her for everything from breast milk to her voice, her warm body, everything, and she can't give that to her. So you've immediately set up a mental health situation. How does that play out? If you have any experience with this, how does that play out for young women that are in a correctional facility? Do they get any type of preferential treatment if they've had a baby behind the walls and able to see the child a little bit more than maybe normal visiting times? And do they get help on the inside? Do they get counseling? Because that's something that I think that they need, or it's going to, as Ellie and I were saying, it causes people being inside to become more criminal than they were when they were on the outside. And you can develop bitterness and all types of things. And I'm not trying to speak for a pregnant woman or a woman who's had a child, but I can only imagine what that would be like to be separated from your child instantaneously and sent back to jail and not knowing the true well-being of your child. Is there any type of treatment that they can get to take care of them mentally while they're inside, doing their time, and their baby is, just days old?
Well, I don't know what the Washtenaw County Jail has available. I am still learning the local resources, but I can tell you that the Michigan Department of Corrections does not have anything. There is one women's prison in the state. It is right here in our county, Huron Valley. And I have unfortunately had the displeasure of knowing a young woman who I represented, who went into the women's prison pregnant, 7 months pregnant to be exact. And her treatment was horrendous. Her treatment gained national attention. She delivered her child in shackles at a hospital. She had her child snatched from her. Just a few days after she gave birth.
She was shackled in delivery? So
she was not able to pump her breast milk at the prison and send it out to her child. Her child was able to come in to see her, but sparingly. They are not allowed to get real intimate with their child. There is no counseling or therapy available outside of other women housed there who can give you that support and create a village around you because they know what you're going through, having gone through it themselves. There's nothing.
And I wasn't expecting a team. I wasn't expecting this huge to do, but I wasn't expecting you to say nothing, because I personally know young women that have had children behind bars. I just didn't know how it happened. I didn't know.
Goes, you have your child, and someone has to come pick your child up before you can go. So, those first few days, if you don't have any birth complications, you're there 2 to 3 days. Someone picks your child up, and then you're taken back to the prison as if it never happened.
Yeah. So situations like that are fucked up. I know you have your plate full. I know that the prosecutor's office has its plate full. Is this a prosecutor's thing, or is this more an MDOC thing?
I don't like to point the finger and say it's your thing, your fault, you fix it.
Well, no, and I guess I should have. I'm really trying to be concise because I am long-winded as all get out. What I'm saying, in speaking to you, in speaking to Ellie, who the fuck do I talk to next about this, Victoria? Literally, I don't want to, because I don't want to.
I can tell you that young woman, she actually, with the help of Senator Stephanie Chang, had legislation passed that no woman can now have birth or give birth to a child shackled to a bed while in custody. So
Stephanie Chang is her name?
Stephanie Chang is the senator.
Okay.
Michigan State senator who authored a bill that bans hospitals and MDOC folks from forcing or allowing a woman to give birth to a child shackled to a bed. So that will never happen again.
So they've brought a degree of civility to it. Because I'm not even sure how a woman gives birth. You being a mother, me seeing several births, I'm not sure how you can give birth shackled. I mean, there's no way. I'm not even sure how it happens. And that's inhumane within itself. And that also means that you're not allowed to hold your baby right after giving birth, because if you're shackled, would they let you go to hold the baby if they wouldn't let you go when you're trying to actually push out a baby? I mean, it's just strange. Stephanie Chang is who I will reach out to. Stephanie Chang is who I want to speak with, because I just believe that and I give her credit for what she's done, at least thus far, but what else can there be? I mean, can there be a team of therapists, of mental health workers or whatever that checks in on this mother, that makes sure that she sees her child? I guess I don't usually ask for preferential treatment for convicted people, but you're talking about a mother. You're talking about someone, because if she's not going to end up spending the rest of her life in jail, at some point she's going to have to develop a relationship with that child. And if she's got to start that relationship while she is behind bars, the very least that someone could do is just make that possible. I mean, she's going to be in an enclosed room and whatever, but make that possible. If you don't allow them to have any type of special contact with the child, you're setting her up for failure when she goes back out to society. That's just me being a father, a paternal spirit. I know you're setting her up for failure. So I appreciate that. And your transparency in that. Kind of just continues just with young mothers. This is something that I wrote out, so I want to just say it, and then you give me your answer. I'm happy to see the marijuana convictions overturned, and I hope that the expungement fervor continues, because I just believe I'm deeply entrenched in the world of cannabis, and not just as a smoker, but I know that cannabis has always been used as a scapegoat for being a gateway drug. Now, I know enough about cannabis now to know that you can't overdose on cannabis unless you smoke 100 pounds in an hour, which is physically impossible. I know there's certain things that you can't become physically chemically dependent. You may want it, you may like it, you may love it, but your body can't become chemically dependent on it. But my question is, for you as a black woman who's a black mother, if you come across a young woman who's pregnant, or she has small children and she's a partaker, and in some way it shows, I don't know, she comes to court and she's got a big marijuana leaf on her arm or something, I don't know. Would you offer her opportunities for counseling, or is that in the prosecutors, like when you make your advisements and things like that, to know that she might have dropped, they had her drop and she came up dirty, and then they've used that against folks, where I'm not sure if they can legally use that against people now that it's legal. I've heard people say that they still couldn't smoke even though it's legal, but they were on probation and it wasn't a drug crime.
Law just changed about a week and a half ago on that, by the way.
Okay. Can you give me a little bit on that? Because I didn't read that one.
Yeah. So our appellate courts have said that you are allowed to use medical marijuana, not recreational, but as long as you have your medical marijuana card, you are allowed to partake while on probation. Because the statute supersedes, quite frankly, the statute for medical marijuana use. It supersedes any other statute in law that would otherwise prohibit you from doing so while on probation. So they have made it quite clear.
So that right there, that takes care of that. I don't want to see people hamstrung for the wrong reasons. And I know that that's still looked at in some of these, I'm just going to say, small-minded courts. They look at cannabis as something that's been so detrimental, and they'll just override the opiate use and override the other things. But cannabis, and it's odd to me. But being able to offer any type of counseling, because I think it goes into, it's a lack of discretion. It's one thing that I do know, that if a young mother smokes around her children, that's also, you're inhibiting their situation because of secondhand smoke. But I believe it's a lack of discretion. And I think that there's a bigger problem looming somewhere, because she should know, she should have the discernment not to want to do that, whether she's pregnant or around her small children. And if those things are put into play, and I understand the recreational laws and the medical laws, and it's such a gray area with potencies and things like that. But I just want to see young individuals, and I'm focusing on young mothers primarily because they usually have the children. And CPS steps in sometimes unjustifiably, and they do things unjustifiably, and it's a lot more difficult to unwind some of the things that happens with CPS, Child Protective Services. Y'all know who I'm talking about, for the few people that'll be watching this today. I just think they overstep their boundaries. And if they can use things like that to hamstring people to make their case stronger, because that's job security for them. Obviously, as where you say you want less convictions, sometimes CPS workers need something to do to make them viable. I would just want to see that everybody's getting a fair shake along those lines, whether it be marijuana, opiates, or any other illicit drug out there. I just don't want to see people not given that opportunity to get counseling, not get some type of help before someone starts coming in talking about taking their children. That's a big business now too. Foster parent, it's a revolving door, and it's unfortunate. So being cognizant of the time, I'll move on. And I did not know about that law, so now I need to move on. It's Stephanie Chang, and I need to talk about that. Okay, so they got some homework now. We had a situation recently, and there's no really a need to bring his name up, because it's an ongoing situation, and I'm not trying to compromise anybody. You guys have caught a lot of flack with the no cash bail thing.
Yeah.
You know. Something tells me that to be a prosecutor, you got to be half deaf. You got to be able to hear everything, but then you got to be able to not hear stuff.
Listen, I told you I'm laser focused, and I'm like I told you again, a very unapologetic person in my views, and that's because I make sure as best as I can that my views are aligned with the people and the community. Right. And the research is solid. The community has spoken. This was not something that Ellie decided to do, without any notice. He campaigned for 2 years on, ending
He
the
did.
use.
I didn't know what it was for a while. I didn't even know what it was, and I was like, "No cash bail? What are they talking about?"
Exactly.
I
So
had no idea what that was.
something that just happened overnight. He campaigned on it for 2 years. The data and the research behind it is solid. And quite frankly, um, my experience as a criminal defense attorney lines up with the data and the research and what the community has said. It's extremely harmful. It's harmful for people of color. It is harmful for people living in poverty. And there's no correlation between cash bail and assuring someone will appear in court, or cash bail and assuring someone will no longer go out and commit a new offense while, waiting trial on the original charge. And so if we know that there's no correlation there, that we're just essentially holding people pre-trial because they're too poor to buy their freedom, that is morally reprehensible. And if we have the power to stop it, we absolutely should. And if people disagree with it, that's okay. They get to disagree. Makes me never mind. But
Absolutely.
I'm laser focused on what we are here to do. And you can't pay attention to naysayers and people who, after listening to all of the research and data and the experts and the people, the community, if you still are against it, that's okay. But this train is moving on and pulling out the station without you.
That's absolutely true. So, and just finishing up my question. So there was an incident that happened prior to, and I'm not even clear if that happened prior to your election and appointment, but most recently there was another situation, and they said that if there had been the no cash bail, and I don't know if these situations ran together or not. I wasn't even clear, so I wasn't going to comment on the conversation, but they were saying this is part of that no cash bail. If he had a bail, he would have never gotten out and attacked this person. That's not always true.
No, so let me tell you.
Yeah. So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I do.
Okay.
So the original charge arose from an incident at a diner in Ann Arbor. And he was released on a personal bond. But had he not been released on a personal bond, you can look at similar incidents and charges and see that those folks were released on very similar conditions. And if he had not been, it would have been a very low affordable cash bond that could have easily been paid. And the point is, he would not have been in the county jail. So he would have been out of the county jail, back at his home, whether he had a cash bond or a personal bond. And, that had nothing to do with the fact that he burned his apartment down. And it has everything to do with the fact that this individual was suffering from mental health issues.
Absolutely.
It had, he said himself, I should not be released. And he is now, after the arson charge, he was held pending release to the proper institution or facility to receive the much needed treatment that he spoke of, that he raised his hand and said, I need. So it speaks to a bigger issue. It's not at all about bond.
Right.
You gotta go a little.
But it's the heading. It's the caption of the articles. It's the caption of the post. And I'm like, I'm looking and listening to people. And then I actually got into a conversation. I'm like, I don't know if that was a situation where he should have been kept in jail, or if he was able to even be kept in jail. And you said he would have received a low cash bond. So instead of giving him that, which is just a couple more pieces of paperwork, they PR'd him. He got out. And then here's the bigger issue. Not to say that the assault at the diner wasn't a big issue, but here's the bigger issue, because it wasn't something that he needed to learn from, because he didn't do the same thing twice. This is a cry for help. This is an immediate cry for help.
The bigger issue, though, the deeper issue, is that our system has failed people like him, because we do not have proper mental health resources in place, adequate resources in place for folks like him who are suffering. And so you will continue to see this with or without the cash bail argument present until we have adequate resources in place for folks who have mental health issues. You cannot treat public health crises as if it's a criminal issue. We've been doing that for decades and clearly it's not working. So you can either do what you've always done and get what you've always gotten, or you can do something you've never done before and get something that you've never gotten.
And I welcome you to yield back on this, because you have nothing to do with this statement that I'm about to make. But the reason that I started doing this, I've been making videos online for years, and I was in terrestrial radio for years. And so I have no problem with opening my mouth and flapping my tongue, but it has to mean something now. I just turned 51, and it has to mean something now that if I'm going to say something, if I'm going to air something. So one of the things about doing the BlackWatch, yes, I do focus on Black people, you know, whether it be our successes or our failures or whatever. But I also, I focus on when people are in place, and I've got heat. I've got constant heat for the WCSO. And in something like this, the community engagement officer is a social worker for the WCSO. And so when I have an issue that someone came into that jail and they were PR'd out after what sounds like it possibly was a vicious attack at the diner, vicious enough for him to have at least seen a social worker, some type of mental health worker, but to be PR'd out without even having that done, that's a problem. Anytime you assault another individual, another human, somebody needs to talk to you before you get back out into free society. One, let's possibly make sure this isn't going to happen again, that we're not going to be seeing him in a couple days. Two, let's make sure he's not going to hurt himself. There's a bigger reason, as you stated a few times here today, there's a bigger reason why people do it, and it's a mental health issue. And I've had a problem with the community. I'm not airing anybody's name today because they don't deserve my airtime, but they know who they are and they watch my videos and their people watch my videos. But the WCSO, I hold to a different standard than I hold any other sheriff's office, because this is my village. I live in Washtenaw County, and the way things go on here sometimes have been in a facade-like fashion. My problem is when you have someone who works closely, works directly, he's damn near sitting on the sheriff's lap, and this happens, and then you want to tout about how you're a social worker and how you've got so much expertise. How does something like this happen to a Black man? Not to say that it couldn't happen to a white man or any other ethnicity, but how does this happen to a Black man with a Black man, and you don't have your fingerprints all over this? That's a problem that I have, because I know, because I've seen the post already on Facebook, every single crime that's going to come across with Black people that has something to do with it, and your fingerprints on it, at least not going to get blamed. He'll get blamed for some of the stuff, but you're going to get blamed for a lot of the other stuff. And just like I told Elaine, one thing you'll never have to worry about in this county, as long as you're in this county, I'll follow you abroad, but in this county, anybody puts dirt on your name, they got to fuck with me. I've been here all my life. My family's been here since the early 1900s. We've been here. And one thing that I can't have people do, because there's so few of us in Washtenaw County anymore, especially Ann Arbor, is not do right by each other. So I don't talk badly about these individuals because they are Black men, but I talk this way because I think they could have done more over the last 12 years, going into year 13, and he'll hit 16 at some point. I think they could have done more for Black people. This situation, this young individual, he needed help. He needs help, and hopefully he's getting that help. But you can't run around and tout all of your capabilities and your accomplishments if you're not helping someone like this. This was a classic case. This could have been a success story for the WCSO to say, hey, we got this kid and we got him straight because he was on this road to destruction. No, you PR'd him, nobody interviewed him, and he went out and he damn near tried to burn down an apartment complex. That's a problem. Just maybe if somebody had talked to him, Because he asked for help. How many criminals are you going to find out there that say, I need help? I know I'm probably going to jail, but I really need help. You're not going to find that many. I mean, we call those softballs. We call those, lobs. He had it. Alley-oops. They had it right there in their midst, and they chose to do nothing. Now, I hope your relationship with the WCSO and Ellie's relationship with the WCSO is to the point where you can have transparent relationships.
We have a good growing relationship.
Good. Good.
Yeah, we do.
You're gonna need that. You're because you guys come from the humanist approach, and I'm not so sure that happens out at the WCSO. It's about numbers, and I've known it to be about numbers. And I know there's some things that they're trying to change around, but that's all because of the times that we're in too. So I'm not going to give them too much credit for following suit, but I hope that you can develop that type of relationship and that type of influence so they know that these situations need to be handled a little bit differently when they come across your desk, because you're going to ask, well, did you try this, or was this tried, or who did he speak to, or who did she speak to? Because when they don't have those answers, that's a problem. That means you're not working together. Washtenaw County Prosecutor's Office, Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office. Sounds like they should all be working together. But from what I've seen, they've either worked totally separately over the last 2 decades, or they've been in cahoots and really nothing's gotten accomplished. So I'll just stop there. But you had nothing to do with that. I need one of those little disclaimers to say the views and the opinions are not of.
I would like to share a brand new partnership that the sheriff has been talking about for a long time, that Ellie himself spoke about on the campaign trail, and that is law enforcement assistant diversion and deflection program. The acronym is LEAD, and it is a beautiful mechanism that allows us to divert folks out of the criminal justice system before charges are brought and even after charges are brought. And in, if you look at Seattle, they have the same model in place, and it works beautifully. Our sheriff, big champion and supporter of it, Ellie, big champion and supporter of it. So we have major plans to not only work together, but to support each other, and ultimately to, again, chase after justice, because that really, at the end of the day, is what it's all about.
Right. And it's obviously that's job security within itself, because I don't think that we'll ever see it in our lifetime where there's 100% justice out here. So we're fortunate to have you as long as we'll have you. I don't see you staying here forever. I just don't, and I'm a realist, because frankly, I think you need to be in Wayne County, but I'm glad you're not. I'm happy you're not. And people are going to be thankful that you're not in Washtenaw County. You're one of those people. I've seen you speak enough. I mean, I knew I needed to talk to you one way or the other, but I've seen you speak enough to where I know of your transparency and I know of your realness. And I'm just going to be flat out vain. Thank you for the real hair. I'm just going to be flat out vain with it, because when I saw the real hair, I'm like, yes, I need this in my life. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with weaves. There's nothing wrong with tracks. There's nothing wrong with this, that, and the other. Hey, I get it. I totally understand. Wigs, sew-ins, I get it. But when you come in and you have your crown on, they can't do anything with that. They can't do anything with that, because that means you've not buckled under someone else's rules to make it, make yourself more accessible, or accepted in their terms. I see people fry their hair, see women fry their hair, and they look for that acceptance. And you're just not going to be accepted, sis, no matter where your hair hangs on your
only
shoulder.
Child. I'm not big on being accepted, or
okay.
Stubborn only child, and I know what I want, and I go after it. And again, you either get on the train or it's pulling on out of the station without you.
There you go. I kind of know that is your motto, either get on the train or either way, it's pulling off without you.
Never mind. The more the merrier, but if you choose to stay behind. Again, I'm laser focused on what I'm here to do. And
we've got room for you, but if you don't get on, we get better gas mileage. See you one way or the other. That's the way it is. But I appreciate you coming in today, because as I said, right before we got started, this was more of a prelude, because I want to speak with you and Ellie as frequently as I can, to see how things are ever changing. I didn't realize it was 11 new bills. I didn't realize it was 11. I knew it was a lot because I just kept seeing them, but 11, really?
You can find all of our policies and directives on our website. The Washtenaw County Prosecutor's Office has a tab that says policy, and you can find every last one of them there.
Is it washtenaw.county.org? What is that?
Let me see here.
Because I know I'll end up putting it in my caption, because people need to see the change as it happens, and the updates and things like that. I don't believe, I'm going to check, but I don't think anybody, like I said, we're just going to have a few live. I didn't pub this.
It's washtenaw.org.
Okay.
And when you go to washtenaw.org, you will go under your government, and you will find under departments, prosecuting attorney.
Okay. So, once I get to that link, that may even be more of an identifiable link. I can copy and paste that. They might be able to come directly to you. I'll make it as easy as possible.
I'll tell you what, I will drop it in the chat. How's that?
That is awesome. That is awesome.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
Not a problem. I appreciate you today. I will continue to appreciate your work and Ellie's work, and just make sure that you just stay where you are. Because as I had told Senator Irwin when I talked to him earlier this year, I've been waiting for the guy to flip for years, and he never flipped. So, I'm happy, and I don't expect you to flip. I don't expect Ellie to flip. We got a problem because he went to Pioneer and I went to Huron. So we got a little problem there that we'll work out.
I've heard about that battle. My name is Bennett and I ain't in it. I'm from Flint.
Yeah. I got to talk to Ellie about that, but I think our schools actually play. So I might be texting him during that night. I don't know if they're letting fans in the game yet, but no, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you for who you are. And Black Girl Magic is real in Washtenaw County, and I appreciate it. Just look forward to continuing to see you make change out here. And I'm one of your cheerleaders.
Thank you so much.
But I'm also one of your soldiers, and people that talk against you, they got problems out here. They just do, and hopefully his name would be Harris, right? Your husband.
Burton Harris.
Okay.
His last name.
Okay. So his name is Burton Harris. Okay. So hopefully Brother Burton Harris is getting acclimated to Washtenaw County. At some point, we won't be wearing masks. We won't be socially distancing. I'll be able to fist bump him somewhere, and officially welcome him into the county. And a son that you have. I think I seen a picture of you three.
Yeah.
Oh man, and he looks like he's just made both of you just soft as ever. I know it's your first one, right?
Yeah,
your only one.
Only one.
Oh, now you're an only child. Is he gonna be an only child?
Well, we would like to adopt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, until that brother or sister comes, he's it. So you already know what that's like. So deal with him. And when you say when he does something, be like, I don't know why he does that. You're an only child. You know exactly why he does that.
I get my only child, baby. I totally get him.
Yep. So I appreciate it. Say hey to Ellie and tell him go Rats, and he'll laugh, and
okay.
We'll see each other soon. I appreciate you.
No problem. Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's a quick little conversation, man. I just wanted to have a quick little conversation and welcome that queen to the county. And that means a lot to me. Everything I do out here doesn't have to be a rant, doesn't have to be filled with explicatives. And she's somebody that I want other young Black women to look at and see those possibilities. I talk a lot about people pushing their kids towards athletics and things like that. And those are all situations with odds. You know, there's a lot of odds that you have to deal, because you got to beat out other people. But see, to be an attorney and an eventual prosecutor, you don't really have to beat out anybody except yourself. So if you're in this for yourself. You're in this for the betterment of people. She talks a lot about being there for people. And that's important to me, you know, because some people can be there just for the bread. Some people can be there just for the power. But you don't hear a lot of people say that they're there for the people, especially when their job is mainly to put people behind bars. As she said, that it's really not. Their main job is justice. It's just been made to be that the prosecutor's office puts people in jail. So if you see that sister around, you know, it might be a little difficult with these masks on, but if you see her around Washtenaw County, make sure you give her that Washtenaw County love. She deserves it. You know, we welcome her into the village, and she may be working for the prosecutor's office, but she's not on the other side. So I appreciate her. And anybody that's going to catch this, the BlackWatch. And all that nice shit I just said is pretty much over until the next interview, because now I'm back on my shit. I got some other stuff to talk about, so we'll get at that momentarily. Y'all be good out here. One love.